What if you could walk through fire and feel nothing? Not because you're numb, not because you've turned into stone, but because you've trained your soul to remain still while the world burns around you. Picture this. A man stands in front of a crowd. He's just been humiliated, called a failure, insulted by someone he once trusted. The room waits for him to break, to lash out, to crumble. But he doesn't. He looks at them and simply walks away, calm as a mountain untouched. That kind of strength, the ability to carry pain in silence, to be unmoved by chaos. That's not weakness hiding in silence. That's discipline. That's power. You see, anyone can scream. Anyone can rage. But it takes a warrior of the mind to stay composed. You're not strong because nothing hurts you. You're strong when you act as if nothing hurts you, because you've mastered your response. And that is what the Stoics lived for. Let me show you how. When the Stoics spoke of strength, they weren't talking about muscles, weapons, or war cries. They were talking about something far more rare. The ability to endure life without letting it twist your soul. The Stoics taught us that pain is inevitable. You will be betrayed. You will fail. You will lose people you love. But how you respond to those moments, that's where your power lives. Let's be clear. Stoicism doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means you don't act out of emotion. You can feel sad, but you don't have to become sadness. You can feel anger, but you don't have to throw it like a weapon. You can feel pain and still choose dignity, clarity, and calm. That is what it means to act as if nothing hurts you. It's not denial. It's control. It's not pretending. It's choosing. Here's the problem. We've been conditioned to believe that showing your pain equals honesty. That if you don't cry loudly, if you don't explode with frustration, then you're bottling it up. But what if silence is not suppression? What if silence is mastery? Imagine being the kind of person who, no matter what storm comes, remains steady, not because you're invincible, but because you've made peace with the fact that life is full of trials, and you've trained yourself not to be ruled by them. The Stoics used to say, the obstacle is the way, not something to run from, not something to fear, but a path to grow stronger. Every insult you ignore builds your patience. Every failure you face without breaking sharpens your character. Every heartbreak you walk through without bitterness expands your capacity to love with depth. This isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming unshakable. Let's bring it down to earth. Think of two people facing the same loss, a job, a relationship, or public humiliation. One person lashes out, blames the world, drowns in emotion, and lets their identity be shattered. The other pauses, feels the pain, accepts it, learns from it, and moves forward. Eyes clear, heart steady. Same pain, different power. Stoicism is not a mask you wear to look tough. It's the armor you build internally, piece by piece. Every time you say, I will not let this break me. I will not act from impulse. I will act from wisdom. You're not avoiding pain. You're transforming your relationship with it. And when you act as if nothing hurts you, the world watches in confusion. Because people expect breakdowns. They expect drama. But what they see is calm. And calm is magnetic. It makes people question their own chaos. It makes you a mirror, reflecting back what true discipline looks like. Remember, you don't have to react to everything. You don't have to prove your pain. You don't have to fall apart just because the world wants to see you collapse. Act as if nothing hurts you, not because you're made of stone, but because you're made of something even stronger. Character. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Epictetus. This single sentence contains the soul of Stoic wisdom. Epictetus wasn't a king. He wasn't born into wealth. He was a slave, crippled in one leg, living under the mercy of cruel masters. And yet, his words have outlived empires. Why? Because he discovered something most people never realize. The outside world doesn't control you, unless you let it. We've been taught to measure our lives by what happens to us. Did I get the job? Did they love me back? Did life treat me fairly? But Epictetus flips the script. He says, stop obsessing over outcomes. The only thing that matters is your reaction. Let me give you a story. There was a man who was betrayed by his business partner. Millions lost. Years of trust shattered overnight. Most would seek revenge, sink into depression, or spiral out of control. But this man did something strange. He paused. He took a walk in silence. And then he said, let me use this loss to become wiser. Let me rebuild, stronger, more alert, but not bitter. He acted as if nothing hurt him, not because he didn't feel the sting, but because he knew his reaction was the only real battlefield. Epictetus would have nodded. Think about your own life. You can't control what other people say about you. You can't control delays, diseases, or disasters. But you can control what you do next. Do you scream? Do you collapse? Do you make your pain everyone's burden? Or do you stay centered, thoughtful, and intentional? That is what separates a wise soul from a reactive one. Epictetus often reminded his students, you are an actor in a play. The director chooses your role. You don't control that. But you do control how you perform. So if life casts you as the underdog, the betrayed, the heartbroken, don't ask, why me? Ask, how can I play this role with honor? This philosophy is powerful because it removes excuses. It tells you, you may be hurt, but you're never helpless. Let's be honest. Most people react because it feels good in the moment. Yelling feels powerful. Slamming a door feels like control. Posting angry comments online feels like justice. But those things don't solve anything. They leak your strength instead of focusing it. Epictetus teaches restraint, not as weakness, but as ultimate authority over your life. Because if you can hold yourself together when everything else is falling apart, you have already won. And people will notice. The quiet person in the room who doesn't overreact, doesn't complain, doesn't seek attention, that person isn't invisible. They're respected. And even if the world doesn't notice, you will. Because deep down you'll know. I didn't let the world shake me. I responded like a philosopher, not a victim. So when life hits hard, and it will, remember the words of Epictetus. What happens to you is not in your control, but what you become because of it. That is entirely up to you. Let's be honest, Stoicism sounds noble in theory. But what does acting as if nothing hurts you actually look like in the world we live in today? In a world addicted to speed, outrage, and validation, Stoicism is rebellion. You're ghosted by someone you thought cared about you. Most people spiral, send emotional texts, stalk social media for answers. But a Stoic? They accept it. They reflect. They let go with grace. They don't chase closure from people who were careless. At work, someone takes credit for your idea. You could retaliate, complain to your team, stir drama. Or you could focus on your craft, document your excellence, and let time reveal the truth. That's the Stoic way. Respond, don't react. Social media? It's a battlefield of emotion. Everyone's triggered. Everyone wants to be right. But you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to bleed publicly just to be seen as authentic. True power is silent. You see, the modern world rewards emotional outbursts. People go viral for yelling at airports, crying on camera, throwing tantrums over opinions. But being loud doesn't mean you're strong. It just means you've handed your peace over to strangers. The Stoic, on the other hand, lives by a quiet code. I choose what I respond to. I do not hand over control of my emotions to the outside world. But how do you practice this? Start with 3 habits. Pause before reacting. That second of silence? It's where your power lives. Take a breath. Ask, is this worth responding to? Practice negative visualization. Each morning, imagine small misfortunes. Losing your keys, being rejected, getting sick. It's not pessimism. It's mental armor. So when reality hits, your mind doesn't collapse. It's prepared. Journal your emotions, don't broadcast them. Instead of posting your heartbreak, write it. Instead of yelling, reflect. This keeps your dignity intact and helps you learn from the pain. Stoicism in modern life is not about being emotionless. It's about building a life where emotions serve you, not sabotage you. You're not a robot. You're human. But you can be a human with discipline, with depth, with direction. In a world that screams, you whisper. In a world that panics, you pause. In a world that breaks at the slightest pressure, you rise, quietly, consistently, unshaken. That is the modern Stoic. Let me ask you something. What would your life look like if nothing could shake you anymore? Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. You stopped needing applause. You stopped chasing apologies. You stopped explaining your pain to people who never really listened anyway. You started responding instead of reacting. You started choosing your silence. You started honoring your peace over proving your point. That's what it means to act as if nothing hurts you. Not because you're made of stone, but because you've discovered that pain is temporary and your character is permanent. Life will continue to test you. People will misunderstand you. The world will throw chaos your way without warning. But now, you know something they don't. You're not here to be controlled by storms. You're here to become the calm inside them. So the next time life hits, don't react. Don't explode. Don't retreat. Just breathe. Observe. Choose. And walk forward with that quiet power Stoics carry through empires, heartbreak, and exile. Your strength is not in how loud you are. It's in how still you remain when the world gets loud. Now ask yourself this. Who would I become if I finally stopped letting pain define me? If this message spoke to you, subscribe to this channel. There's more Stoic wisdom waiting, because you were never meant to just survive. You were meant to endure with grace, to lead with calm, to live unshaken,